Hi, everybody. This is Marilyn. It's time for the noon version. If we have audio. Oh, good. Thanks, Lou. Okay, this is Marilyn, and it's 12 noon on November the 9th, Monday. Welcome to my view from my world. There's not too much all too interesting going on, but if you've been watching any of these indices, you have certainly seen a sell-off. This is what you call a sell-off for sure. The interesting thing to me is the VIX is right now just over 17. And if you recall, last week it was hovering around 13 and 14 and whatever it was. But 17 is definitely higher than it's been for several weeks, in fact. And when that starts rising, these markets, it's that VIX is a fear factor, and it is as it rises, these indices will definitely trend down, and boy, they sure are. Bonds, interestingly enough, started down this morning and kind of bottomed around for a little while, and for the last hour and a half have been going up. So we've had gold in a chop, 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 and the indices are also, the currencies, the Canadian dollar, the Aussie dollar, the euro's moved a little along with the US dollar, but not much. But the Canadian dollar and the Aussie dollar are definitely in a tight, choppy range, as is gold. This morning we had there were some nice trades on crude oil. If you missed this one that started about just before 6 o'clock in the morning, that was me also. But there was a nice one off of this big magnet right here. And this was a good timeline, about 8:15. You could have gotten in at the bottom of the A or at the deviation or at this big magnet right here. And the go back here to about 8:15. This I zone started right about in here too. So if this is easier for you to trade with, I can certainly see it's kind of a no-brainer to take this south, and particularly when you have this in conjunction with it. I do think that that this I zone may have, or sharpshooter, whatever you call this thing here, I do think it would have kept you in this trade probably for some more ticks, almost down to the magnet down here at 44. But these institutional volume zones are a little easier to see on this chart. I don't have them on every chart because pretty soon you got so many lines you can't figure out anything. But any of these entries, and even if you waited until the high of last session was right here at 44.73, you still had plenty of ticks to collect if you had places to get out at the right here at the mid ice, at the settlement, at the red ice. And then if you trailed this real tightly, or you were watching the 210 tick, you might have been able to squeeze a few more ticks out of this. But keep in mind, the goal for something like this is if you get 60% of this movement right here, you've done a nice job of handling that. And it set up again over here, did the same thing, went on down to this deviation. So all these things in conjunction, anytime you see these big red candles on this 30-minute, if you're in right here and you're wondering, gee, I wonder if it's going to go on down, these things will tell you, yes, it definitely is inclined to do that. I'll drag my TF chart over here also, because TF, if you go back to about, I'm thinking right here at 9:30, I try to avoid trading this. This was really obvious right here, though. But the better part of caution is to wait until it gives you either an E or this elevator right here and broke the deviation. But the way I use these is for 15 ticks off of the elevators, and Lori's got me convinced the slings also. But it's easier to see these elevators. I mean, this is a classic right here with one bar up and one bar down, or vice versa. But it's a 1 and 1. And there were several of these 15 tick scalps off of here this morning. And if you were inclined to trail this and get a few more, you'll notice that this starts to run from street to street also. These are very powerful start and stopping points that Apex provides us with. So learn to use them and take advantage of them, because they will certainly put a goodly amount of ticks in your tick bank. So let's see, for the afternoon, this sell-off may continue, because what's causing this apparently is a lot of this talk about raising interest rates. Of course, that's because the brain trust is telling us the economy's doing so wonderfully well. I'm sure glad they're telling me that, because I never would have thought that on my own. Anyway, that's enough sarcasm, I guess. That's why this is my view. Anyway, when you have these kind of trends in the morning on crude oil, you're probably a little bit, you're going to be more ahead if you just drop the crude oil subject for the afternoon, because it is even starting to chop on the 30-minute right here, and rarely will it trend all day long. If you have a great morning, then the expectation is that it will chop a little bit in the afternoon, and so the expectation is that this is a time you might want to either devote to studying other strategies and reviewing some of the videos, or go to a different market. Have no idea what these indices are going to do, but I guess time will tell and we'll find out. I've got a question in here, rising what? Chris, it's the interest rates. The Fed in the U.S., not only in the U.S., but in Europe, they're talking about raising interest rates because they're so convinced that the economies are doing so well. That's a view I don't exactly share, but then what do I know? Let's see. I don't see anything else for the afternoon. Bonds are definitely climbing. I missed a nice bond trade this morning, so I'm just kind of mad at myself about that. But anyway, Ryan, I think you pretty well hit the nail on the head. Anyway, this has been my view from my world in Apex land, brought to you by Apex Investing. I'll be back about 2:30. Thanks.